In this video, I'm going to go through a task from Cambridge Book 11. It's a both view and opinion essay. This essay might be good enough to get to 8. There's a couple of issues that could possibly prevent 8 that I want to go through and show you. So let's start by looking at our topic. Many governments think that economic progress is their most important goal. Some people, however, think that other types of progress are equally important for countries. I think this should be without the yes. I think that it actually reads better types of progress. Progress is an uncountable noun. We can have progresses plural, but I think it's better as a uncountable noun here. And then the candidates copied this, so I guess that this is okay since the task instructions mention it that way. If you're ever unsure about phrases, you can put them into Google, and types of progress is by far more common than types of progresses. But we do see instances of types of progresses, so I'm not going to say it's wrong, but it just seems a bit unnatural. And it has been repeated a few times in this essay, which is not great. And then sometimes it's not mentioned in plural form. But definitely should be looking to paraphrase this word if possible. Development might be a good word to use instead. So, I mean, if we just look at the introduction, progress, 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 there is a risk that the examiner will feel this word's repeated too often and then drop vocabulary to 7. So this is worth just noting. Okay, so let's have and then the question here. Discuss both these views and give your own opinion. Note this word here, and. There's really 3 things we've got to do. One view, another view, and your own opinion. And all 3 are important. All 3 have to be done really well to get a high score. Just mentioning your opinion briefly, that's just a 6. You need to develop your opinion, explain it to get to 7 and beyond. I did change the language a little bit here. Economic progress should be. It just works better than is. Okay. Another word in here. There are other types of progress critical for countries, and just paraphrasing this important up here. Good response to the question. This essay discusses both sides of the argument. It's the both views and why I believe that other forms of progress are just as important. So this is the best way to write your final sentence of your introduction here. It makes it clear to the reader what the essay is about. A lot of people just want to put their opinion in there. Well, that's not okay. Now I just think the essay is going to be about your opinion. So this is an excellent sentence here. It tells the reader exactly what to expect for the essays. I added the word may in here just because not necessarily all governments think this, just to a bit of flexibility here. It's fine without it. It's not something that is significantly influencing the score. Here though, so we've got a general topic sentence here. This is good. So we're introducing that there's 2 reasons. Then we come up to the first reason, which is unemployment. So we've got a clear first main reason here, unemployment, and that's fine. It gets developed really well that there are more job opportunities. I just think this part about the income is not so great. Because this is not really about unemployment anymore, about having jobs. This is about having better paid jobs. So it would be better to leave that out. It's not lowering the score really though. It's just that the essay would be better without that, because that's not really unemployment. So okay, this first point done pretty well. And then we come on to the second point, signalled by as well as this. So we've got a good linking phrase there to tell the reader that we're now on to the second idea, and we've got tax revenue. and then it sort of explained how tax revenue can be used for countries, so that's really good. We needed an and in here. It's quite important for grammar. And then you don't really need to list a whole lot of countries. One would probably be enough here. And we've got the example. So the point is that we have tax, and then that can be used for social services, healthcare, and education. And then we've got an example. For example, America, Australia, and Britain. Let me show you the original. If you look at the original, you'll see why this is not ideal. So here's our example. For example, America, Australia, and Britain can be considered because these countries are investing their money in these sectors. Great, but why are they investing their money in these sectors? Why are they able to? So we want to tie this back to the tax revenue and the economic progress, right? So there's nothing in here about economic progress, and that's what's missing for this example to be truly illustrative. So let's see how I changed it now. Let's do the simple markup. And you can see that I've expanded it by because. So I've added this reason on. Because they have the economic power to do it. So this makes it truly illustrative. Without this phrase in here, the writer is expecting the reader to just sort of know this and assume this. So it could be, the point could be made a bit clearer here. So this is an issue with cohesion and coherence, definitely, and it also impacts the task response. So I would say some issue here with the development of the idea, definitely preventing a 9 and 8, it's arguable. Then we come on to our next paragraph, and we're going on to the other side of the argument now, and we've got a good topic sentence to indicate this. Then what I don't like is, so we've got a general topic sentence here. We should be introducing the first point here, not an example, but the first point. So other forms of progress, we should have the first form here, and then you could do a for example. So this is not the right phrase to be using here. It's too early in the paragraph for the example because we haven't established a main idea yet or a key point. So I've rewritten this sentence. More specifically, education is a vital area for the development of countries. So I've made it clear that the first point is education. All right. In this sentence, literacy rate is mentioned. I think this is just too specific. It's better to mention education in general and then get more specific here and mention literacy and how literacy is beneficial. Okay, so this idea, it's a little bit difficult to establish what the main idea is. I can sort of see the development of it, it's not too bad down here, but difficult to see the main idea. Not great for cohesion and coherence. And then this is the sort of second issue. So personally, I'd be thinking 7 now, probably, for the cohesion and coherence. And it is having an influence on the task response too. It's difficult for me to see the response because I'm having trouble establishing the main idea. And I guess it's literacy, but I think it would be better to have a more general one of education and then go more specific to literacy. Okay, then we've got our second idea. So second idea, we've got our in addition to signal it, protecting a country's natural environment is equally paramount. So I know the second, so this time the main idea is clear. It's very clear here. It's about the environment. That's great. And preserving the natural environment. So they ought to be, I'd like to know why they ought to be doing this. Why do they need to preserve the natural environment? It'd be good to know this in this sentence. I guess it sort of comes into the next sentence. Doing this may keep its surroundings fresh and clear. This could probably be connected to this sentence. Probably be possible to merge these two sentences, and then as a result, people of this country may have better health. Yeah, it's okay. I think I would develop this idea by talking about sustainability and, having to maintain the planet for future generations. That might be better. Health could be a main idea. I mean, you could mention back up here that health should be important. I mean, basically, there's no point having money if you're not healthy, right? But okay, the natural environment's fine, and then all of this seems fine. I just think maybe talking about sustainability of the planet might be better rather than linking it to health. But I mean, there is a connection between the environment and health. If we're breathing in bad air or drinking polluted water, of course, that's going to have health consequences. And then if it is for health reasons, that could maybe come in earlier in the paragraph. It seems that the objective is not so much about keeping things fresh and clean, but maybe more about health. So I would say this point's been done in an okay way, but I think that it could still be better. There could be a stronger connection between the main idea and the support. So really definitely 7 now, I think, for the cohesion and coherence. There's just not enough connection, and possibly for the task response. I really like this last paragraph, though. This last paragraph's really good in terms of an 8, and then starts to make me reassess whether to give 8s. So we've got in conclusion, I believe, so opinion. We know that this paragraph is about the opinion. Both sides of the argument have merits. So there's one piece of opinion that the writer believes that both sides of the argument have merits. And then we've got however, so we've got a contrasting point now. I believe that other types of progress of a country, such as education and environmental developments, are of equal significance. Okay, so we know that the writer feels that, well, this is sort of a support for this side of the argument. And then we have the reason. This is because education, populations of a country can be contributive in its social development, and country's clean environment may contribute in better health. So we've got the sort of paraphrasing of what was said in this paragraph done really, really well here. This is a really good paragraph. This is definitely a level 8 paragraph. So, I mean, if I think about the whole essay in terms of the task response and the cohesion and coherence, the introduction's excellent. There's some issues in the body paragraphs, and then the conclusion's excellent. So then, what do I score it? Maybe I can show you. And note that it's subjective. The scoring is subjective, so I would probably end up giving it a 7, but I do consider it could be worthy of an 8, and I believe some examiners will give 8. Try not to think of these scores as totally objective. There's a degree of subjectivity, and if, let's say, 10 people look at this essay, I would imagine most people will be within these two scores, 7 and 8. There's nothing to pull it to a 6, and it's not good enough for 9. So I think most people will be in the 7 to 8 category. If I really had to pick, I'd probably still go with 7 for this. And cohesion and coherence, I'd definitely go for 7. But I know a lot of examiners are not as strict as I am on certain things, and it could well get an 8. Again, if there's 10 people in the room, the scores are going to fluctuate between 7s and 8s depending on the examiner. And the issues that for me are causing these 7s are kind of linked because of the lack of cohesion sometimes between the main idea and the supporting sentences. It's kind of pulling this down to a 7, and it's also influencing this. And even one of the main ideas wasn't that clear, so that gives me reason to maybe cross this. One of the main ideas wasn't that clear. And then when I get to the vocabulary and grammar, I think these are fine for 8s. I just highlight that there's a fair bit of repetition in there, and that could possibly trigger an examiner to give a 7. But I think if there were 10 examiners, 1 or 2 might score 7. I think most are going to give 8, and grammar's good enough for 8. There's only really one ugly error, and that's here with the and. But even a native writer might miss that out. So the examiner's trying to look at the positives as well as the negatives, and on the whole, the positives for grammar for this essay very strong, almost error-free. Odd minor error with articles, that doesn't matter. But this is kind of serious, but it's a one-off. It's the only mistake, so I think it's good enough to get to 8 for grammar. So then in terms of the overall score, I think it's probably going to end up a 7.5 with most examiners, because I think for most examiners they're going to ping one of these two down to a 7, if not both. I'd probably give 2 7s. Maybe some examiners might give an 8 and a 7. This is very, very close to being an 8 for task response, so possibly an 8 here, then a 7 here, but that would still result in 7.5. To get the 8 requires 8 for everything. Alright, I hope you found this video useful and that it helps you in your own writing.